When we think of vegetables, the first thing that comes to mind is health, vitality, and nutrition. Vegetables are celebrated worldwide for their ability to fight diseases, boost the immune system, and support heart and brain health. However, what most people don't realize is that not all vegetables are entirely safe when consumed in excess or in certain forms. In fact, there are specific vegetables that, under particular conditions, can increase the risk of stroke, sometimes even overnight. A stroke happens when blood flow to the brain is interrupted, either due to a blockage or a burst blood vessel. It's a life-threatening condition that can lead to permanent brain damage or even death. The idea that some vegetables might contribute to this risk may sound surprising, but science shows that certain compounds, when consumed in high amounts or in the wrong way, can elevate blood pressure, thicken the blood, or interfere with proper circulation, all of which are key triggers for a stroke. Today, we'll dive deep into 3 common vegetables that can quietly increase your stroke risk if you're not careful, especially when eaten in the wrong quantity or by people already struggling with blood pressure, heart problems, or poor circulation. The first vegetable on this list is spinach. At first glance, spinach is a superfood, rich in vitamins A, C, K, folate, iron, and calcium. It's often recommended for heart and brain health. But here's the hidden truth. Spinach is extremely high in oxalates and nitrates. When consumed in large amounts, especially in raw form like in smoothies or salads, these compounds can backfire. Nitrates in spinach can convert into nitrites in the body, and excessive nitrite levels can interfere with blood oxygen transport, especially in people with cardiovascular issues. More importantly, the high oxalate content in spinach can lead to calcium oxalate crystal formation, which affects kidney function. Poor kidney performance means the body cannot properly regulate minerals like potassium and sodium, both vital for blood pressure control. When sodium levels fluctuate and blood pressure spikes, it dramatically increases the risk of a stroke overnight, especially in people who already have hypertension or thick blood. Some studies have also shown that excessive spinach consumption may thin the blood too much due to its vitamin K content imbalance, creating irregular clotting behavior, another factor that can either lead to bleeding or clot-related stroke. In simple words, spinach is excellent for you in moderate portions, but eating it daily in high amounts, especially raw, can silently raise the chances of a stroke due to blood chemistry imbalances and circulation strain. The second vegetable that can raise your stroke risk overnight is beetroot. Beetroots are known for their vibrant color and impressive ability to lower blood pressure, thanks to their high nitrate content. However, that same benefit can become a hidden danger when the balance is disrupted. Nitrates in beets, much like those in spinach, can quickly convert to nitrites and nitric oxide in the bloodstream. While nitric oxide helps dilate blood vessels, allowing better flow, excessive dilation can cause sudden drops in blood pressure, dizziness, and poor oxygen delivery to the brain. For someone with unstable blood circulation or existing arterial plaque buildup, that drop in pressure can trigger a stroke, especially an ischemic one. Another issue arises when nitrates are combined with certain medications, especially for heart disease or erectile dysfunction, as they intensify vasodilation beyond safe limits. Moreover, overconsumption of beetroot juice can significantly increase the viscosity of blood due to the iron and antioxidant load, making the blood thicker over time. Thick blood means the heart must pump harder, straining arteries and possibly leading to a clot that can block the brain's vessels overnight. Additionally, people who consume large amounts of beetroot daily may develop an electrolyte imbalance, as beets are naturally high in potassium. While potassium is beneficial in controlled amounts, too much can interfere with the heart's electrical rhythm, potentially leading to arrhythmia or even cardiac stroke events. So although beetroots are often promoted as heart-friendly, the key is balance. Too much can easily turn this vegetable into a vascular hazard. The third vegetable that can raise stroke risk overnight is potato. Potatoes are one of the most consumed vegetables worldwide, found in almost every household. But despite their popularity, they can be extremely dangerous for those who are not careful with how they're cooked or how frequently they're eaten. Potatoes are high in starch, which breaks down into sugar quickly, causing a spike in blood glucose and insulin. High blood sugar leads to inflammation in blood vessels and thickening of artery walls, a process called atherosclerosis, which is one of the strongest precursors to a stroke. But that's not all. Potatoes, especially when fried, baked with salt, or turned into chips or fries, drastically increase sodium intake. Sodium retention leads to high blood pressure, and high blood pressure is the #1 cause of stroke worldwide. According to several studies, people who consume fried or salty potatoes more than 3 times a week have a significantly higher risk of heart attack and stroke. Even boiled potatoes can be risky for diabetic or pre-diabetic individuals, as the high glycemic index can lead to sudden blood sugar surges. These spikes damage small blood vessels in the brain and make them more prone to rupture. Additionally, when potatoes are stored for too long or exposed to light, they develop a toxin called solanine. High levels of solanine can cause inflammation in the nervous system and potentially affect vascular health, leading to headaches, nausea, and impaired circulation. When the circulatory system is under this kind of stress, the chances of a stroke occurring overnight, especially during sleep when blood pressure naturally fluctuates, increase dramatically. This is why dietitians often suggest replacing regular white potatoes with sweet potatoes or other low glycemic vegetables to maintain better cardiovascular stability. When we examine these 3 vegetables, spinach, beetroot, and potato, we realize that the real danger lies not in the vegetable itself, but in how it's consumed. Each of these vegetables contains beneficial nutrients when eaten moderately and in proper combinations. But the problem starts when people consume them excessively, combine them with high salt or high fat meals, or fail to consider their own health conditions. For example, people with hypertension, diabetes, kidney disease, or clotting disorders need to be especially careful. Their systems are more sensitive to blood pressure fluctuations and electrolyte imbalances. For someone who already has thick blood or high cholesterol, the excess oxalate or nitrate intake from spinach and beetroot could become the final trigger that leads to a stroke. Similarly, for someone with insulin resistance, the starchy load of potatoes can inflame the arteries overnight, setting the stage for an unexpected medical emergency. One important point often overlooked is how cooking methods influence the impact of these vegetables. Raw spinach, for instance, contains more oxalates than cooked spinach. Lightly boiling or steaming it can reduce oxalate content significantly. The same goes for beets. Consuming them raw or in juice form concentrates the nitrates, while roasting or boiling can moderate their levels. Potatoes are especially sensitive to frying, as that not only increases sodium and fat intake, but also forms harmful compounds like acrylamide, which contribute to inflammation and vascular damage. These small preparation differences can decide whether a vegetable nourishes your heart or silently harms your arteries. Another factor that amplifies stroke risk from these vegetables is combination eating, the way certain foods are paired. For example, consuming beetroot juice along with spinach salad and salty snacks creates a perfect storm of nitrates, sodium, and oxalates, which can elevate blood pressure swings and impair circulation overnight. Similarly, eating fried potatoes along with processed meats or sugary drinks multiplies the stress on the cardiovascular system. The body reacts by tightening the arteries, thickening the blood, and forcing the heart to pump harder. During sleep, when the blood vessels naturally constrict and relax, this instability can trigger a stroke without warning. Most people who experience night strokes have one or more of these risk patterns, a combination of poor dietary timing, high sodium intake, and excessive consumption of high oxalate or nitrate vegetables. Understanding the body's rhythm is also essential. Nighttime is when blood pressure naturally dips. But if you've consumed a large, heavy meal full of these risky vegetables late in the evening, your body has to work extra hard to process the nutrients and maintain balance. The result is uneven circulation and, in some cases, sudden spikes or drops in blood pressure during sleep. These sudden fluctuations are a leading cause of early morning strokes. That's why nutritionists often advise consuming nitrate-rich vegetables like spinach or beetroot earlier in the day, ideally before noon, and avoiding heavy starchy vegetables like potatoes close to bedtime. Of course, it's also important to acknowledge that these vegetables aren't inherently bad. The problem arises only with quantity and frequency. Spinach, for example, in moderate portions 2 to 3 times a week, is excellent for bone health, digestion, and immunity. Beets can improve oxygen flow during exercise when used in controlled portions. Potatoes can be part of a balanced diet when boiled or baked with minimal salt and oil. But the key message is balance and awareness. People with high blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood sugar must be mindful of how much and when they consume these vegetables. Regularly checking blood pressure and maintaining hydration also helps counter the effects of excess nitrates or sodium. In the broader picture, the rise in stroke risk from these vegetables is a reflection of modern dietary patterns. People overconsume even healthy foods, believing that more equals better. They make large green smoothies with raw spinach every morning, drink beetroot juice daily, and eat fries or baked potatoes at night. The result is nutrient overload that disrupts the body's delicate balance. Natural compounds that should heal the arteries start causing stress and inflammation instead. This is a powerful reminder that in nutrition, balance always beats excess. To protect yourself from this silent danger, the best approach is variety. Rotate your vegetables, mix leafy greens like kale, lettuce, or cabbage instead of relying solely on spinach. Alternate beetroot with other antioxidant-rich vegetables like carrots or cucumbers. Replace white potatoes with sweet potatoes, which are lower in glycemic index and higher in fiber. Also, limit salt and processed seasonings when preparing your meals. Drink plenty of water to help your kidneys flush out oxalates and excess sodium. And perhaps most importantly, avoid eating heavy vegetable-based meals too close to bedtime, especially if they're high in starch or nitrates. Give your body time to process the nutrients before you rest. In conclusion, while spinach, beetroot, and potatoes are common staples that most people view as harmless, overconsumption or improper preparation of these vegetables can elevate your risk of stroke overnight. The combination of nitrates, oxalates, sodium, and starch can disturb your body's vascular balance, especially if you have existing health issues. Understanding how these vegetables interact with your body chemistry is essential for long-term brain and heart health. The goal isn't to fear these foods, but to respect their power, both their healing and harmful sides. A healthy diet is not about cutting out vegetables, but learning how to eat them wisely, in moderation, and at the right time of day. Remember, even nature's healthiest foods can become dangerous when eaten without awareness. Your best protection against stroke is not just in avoiding unhealthy foods, but in knowing how to use healthy ones correctly. Balance, timing, and moderation are the keys to keeping your heart strong and your brain safe, even while enjoying your favorite vegetables.